Mr. Mr. Bobulinski, I know that you take exception to the fact that your credibility has been called into question over and over. But when someone comes to testify under oath, whether it's before this committee, behind closed doors, or in person, then we have to evaluate someone's credibility. And sir, I definitely have always had issues with your credibility, as I know that you are very well aware of. So let me remind you of what happened behind closed doors.
Well, you should ask O'Connor about my credibility.
You a question. Okay.
You are?
When I haven't. So when I ask you a question, that's when you answer. Otherwise, I'm talking. So
excuse me?
With my time, because it's my time, I want to be clear that when we were behind closed doors, you called a number of people liars. Mr. Bobulinski, I know that you take exception to the fact.
You know, it's just pathetic. These folks are just absolutely pathetic, and love the way the way she shut him down. And that's the type of that's the type of aggressiveness you need at times. In fact, that's the type of aggression you need all the time to in this climate that they have created. The MAGA folks have created. She had to express. Okay, I see. But they will never learn. You can't. Michelle Obama said, when they go low, you go high. You gotta go. You gotta go down there with them and show them what you can do down there, because they're no match intellectually and otherwise when you go high. So sometimes you just got to take the fight to them and beat them in their own arena. Look, Muhammad Ali knew that George Foreman was stronger. He was the favorite. Ali liked to stick and move. He liked to jab, and pick his opponent apart. He knew that that's not going to really fly with a George Foreman. So he got down in the mud with Foreman and knocked him out. As Mike V said, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett is lethal with her words and cadence. Absolutely right. Welcome to the National Newspaper Publishers Association's Let It Be Known. Oh boy, what a news morning. What a headline news morning. And very interesting. We want to start this morning off at the University of Memphis. Kudos to those students at the University of Memphis. Yeah, I know we talked the other day about Kyle Rittenhouse's speaking tour, or whatever they want to call it. Well, the students wasn't having it at all last night. Let's check it out. I think we have a clip of the aftermath of them chasing away this guy. Probably getting all the volume there, but they are yelling at him. They are there's a bunch of them yelling "killer" and all types of other things. And here's the thing with that: Kyle Rittenhouse is making himself a celebrity. And he sued like the New York Times and others. Yeah, they wasn't having it, but here it is.
They're literally chasing Howard chasing him down.
And my point is them calling him killers and things like that, and he sued New York Times and I believe the Associated Press, another outlet, for defamation. And I said he's making himself a celebrity. I am rooting for him to attain, and I think he may have already done that, celebrity status, because you cannot, by law, defame a celebrity. It's extremely hard anyway to defame a celebrity. Um, and so with him gaining that celebrity status, he can't go and sue those students for calling him a killer and murderer and all that stuff. Um, so you go ahead, Cal, do your thing. But Memphis, University of Memphis, Power 96 says salute to those students. Um, the university, by the way, said that they had no part in this. Folks rent the auditorium all the time, um, which is true, but they do have the ability to deny. They don't have to rent it. They can deny uh, the rental to anybody without cause. Most of these places have that clause that they can deny without cause. You just can't go, I'm going to rent this out to anybody, or I can rent it. You can rent it to anybody, but you also have the ability to say no. All money ain't good money. Cal Rittenhouse. Another thing I wanted to mention this morning, Greer brought to my attention via video, is what happened with Justin Pearson, the state rep out of Tennessee, on the House floor. It's a foregleam again of what's to come under Donald Trump if he is reelected. These are people in the Tennessee House. We know what happened with the Justins last year, but these are people who are doing the bidding of Donald Trump, or they're trying to make sure that they are as MAGA as Donald Trump. Check this out.
Number 9, House Bill 2131 by Representative Pearson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. Before you is House Bill.
Excuse me, House Bill 2331.
Yes. Okay. Before you is House Bill 2331, the Case Expediency Act. Before I present, Mr. Chairman, I request a roll call vote. There are no amendments.
Bill fails for lack of a motion.
What?
Item number 10, House Bill 2333 by Representative Pearson.
Forgive me. Can I get clarity on what happened?
There was no motion or a second on the previous bill, but you are properly recognized on this one.
You didn't ask for a motion or a second. In every committee I've ever been in, the chairman has called for a motion and a second.
Leader Lambert.
Since we're on House Bill 2333, the proper motion and second, I make a motion for summer study.
That is a proper motion. It has been seconded.
There is
objection.
This is pretty obscene what y'all are doing right now.
There is objection.
It's a debatable motion, but I've been motioned and second on the bill. Doesn't that go to me before someone is able to interrupt? I get an opportunity to present the bill.
The posture we're in, it's now properly before the committee. There was a motion made by a member of the committee to make a summer study motion. It was seconded. There is objection.
After it was motioned and second by the first two members, the member then gets to present on the bill. I haven't had a chance to present on the bill at all before it was sent to summer study. I've never seen that happen.
Mr. Chairman, it's my motion. As a member of this committee, there was a motion and a second. It's probably for the committee. I asked to be recognized, and I have made a motion for a summer study. I'm comfortable with that debate, but that is the debate we are upon now.
Yes,
Mr. Chairman, I don't know who you're recognizing next or who's on the list. I had a motion that I made, and now we're on that motion.
Thank you, Leader. I think I was recognized after the motion of the second. Is that incorrect?
Yes, I do believe he is correct. I did technically recognize him on that. If you will withdraw your motion.
Mr. Chairman, this juncture, I won't withdraw the motion, but I would ask that the sponsor of the bill be recognized for whatever presentation he would like to make on this. I'm not trying to cut him off on presenting his bill. That's just the motion that I have on this bill as we are going through it.
Representative Pearson, you're recognized.
Thank you. I got to tell you, I'm a little frustrated and flustered by this. The previous bill was the Case Expediency Act that was brought by one of my constituents. And so just to see that get turned down for whatever reason was very disheartening. And to Ms. LaVonda Thorne Henderson, I promise to bring the bill back. Appreciate your fight and your advocacy. This is House Bill 2333 Ghost Gun Parts Act.
It's just interesting to me. Usually there says, is there a motion or a second? The times I've not seen that happen are on gun bills, and then calling the question before there even gets to be a debate or discussion is very similar. I've only seen it done with certain members. These are really important ideas that should be discussed in front of the public, quite frankly, as well as with the body.
Any other discussion on the motion?
Do I get to say something on this, Chairman?
Yes, sir. Go
You run
ahead.
your committee quite differently than I've experienced. Summer study, typically for everybody's watching, is where bills go to die. The responsibility falls on all of us to do everything that we can. Sending things just to summer study so that you can ignore it or try and put our heads in the sand when we are dealing with something as grave and as serious as gun violence is in our communities. And then we blame the individuals without ever taking a look in the mirror and saying, what can we do as legislators to fix this problem, is despicable. Hope that when folks stand up here and bring up bills, they do get the respect that they are due, not just as members, but as representatives.
We're voting now to send House Bill 2333 to summer study. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes prevail. It goes to summer study. If you wish to be recorded as a no, please see the clerk. Item number 11.
See, that's what I mean. This is what you can expect. So those who are, and they say stay woke. If you're not woke by now, with this stuff, you might as well stay sleeping, is what I say. This, they might as well have worn sheets. Let's face it, because that's what it sounded like. It sound, and you know, you can't read anybody's heart, but I could only imagine that inside their minds, there was a lot of inwards going through their minds when Justin Pearson was speaking, and how they cut. There's usually a discussion. I mean, he immediately just shut him down, shut State Rep Justin Pearson down in a very demeaning way. And Austin says racists are clearly voting in Tennessee and elsewhere. This is what's to come. So when you see, and it's they were talking about guns. Let's have the debate. Is what really Justin Pearson and Gloria Johnson, Representative Gloria Johnson was saying. Let's talk about this for the publicly. See, they're typical. See, the Klan, the Ku Klux Klan, they hide their faces. These Republicans, they want to hide behind closed doors and do the dirt. And yeah, Mike V, I don't see how they govern without, they don't govern. They do whatever it is that they will, like in Texas, like in Florida, Alabama with the DE&I, and Alabama, you know, Mississippi, Jackson with the police taking over, with the police state, I should say, and the government taking over for no reason. Solid, a really good mayor, done some great things against all odds, and usurping his power. We keep seeing it, and this is an extension of that whole MAGA. So when you see these idiots running around, black people, and talking about MAGA, they all for it, and Snoop Dogg and Killer Mike and Sexy Red, and yeah, their day is coming, folks. If this nation is unfortunate enough to have Donald Trump leading again, trust that all those folks that you see, the Byron Donalds, all of them, see, they seem to be in a good spot with their master, Trump. They seem to be all in a good spot right now, supporting him and stuff. Trust what's coming. If you can't see it, they can't see it because they got their heads too far up Trump's butt. But it's coming. These are little tidbits. That situation in Tennessee is just a little tease of what's coming. How about Joe Manchin? I heard somebody on national TV say, quote, I'm gonna get in trouble for this. But I heard somebody say, quote, Joe Manchin is a good man. You must know the Joe Manchin that he refuses to show everybody else. He continues. He is leaving, and he knows his leaving also formally turns that seat. Not that it now officially, not formally, but officially turns his seat Republican. It officially turns his seat to MAGA, not necessarily because he is as MAGA as they come. He said, and people haven't really taken note until now. Um, he has been voting against Biden judicial appointments. And he says he has a new rule when it comes to Biden's judicial picks. If they don't have GOP support, he won't vote for them. He's voted against several just this week. And it's not yet hurt Biden or his picks yet, but has made for some very close votes on the Senate floor. He claims he only wants one Republican to vote. He says, give me something bipartisan. He says, and here's a part of what he said that, again, if you paying attention, particularly black folks, tells you where he's from, tells you how deeply embedded he is with the GOP and particularly with the MAGA group. This is a quote. This is my own little filibuster, he said. Now we all know that the filibuster has been used consistently for decades and decades and decades to stamp out any progress for African Americans, particularly African Americans. I'm not even including other folks, brown folks, Asian, except African Americans. This is Jim Crow's law, the filibuster. And he mentions that, and it tells you a lot. This is my own little filibuster. Joe Manchin is a stark raven MAGA. I don't care what y'all say. This idea of holding him up as somebody who's, he just wants bipartisanship. There is no such thing as bipartisanship today. And listen, we used to have an editor at the Washington Informer. Her name was Denise Barnes, not to be confused with the publisher and owner, Denise Rolock Barnes, who always said, I can show you better than I can tell you. And Joe Manchin continues to show on the way out the door. He could care less about African Americans. He could care less. There was this old myth that Elvis Presley said. It was a myth. It was never true. Elvis never said it, but it was always attributed to him that all black people can do is shine my shoes and buy my records. Joe Manchin, that's really something you can attribute to Joe Manchin. He has not said it publicly, but his actions show that all black people can do is shine his shoes. That's it. He could care less. Unreal. So he is you talk about progress. So when we talk, and I've been at the forefront of the criticism when the Democrats in Biden's first year had the House, Senate, and of course the White House. Why didn't they get certain things done? Well, that's why. That filibuster that Manchin proudly totes in his back pocket, and the fact that it was a 50-50 Senate. That means that they needed to go around or get rid of the filibuster, and Manchin would not allow them as a so-called quote unquote Democrat. He and that idiot from Arizona who has no home no more. I mean, she followed him right into the depths of, you know, despair, disgust. He sits on that boat out there in Washington, that houseboat that other members crave to go and hang out with him. It's all about if you black, get back is what Southbound 3000 said. Exactly. It's unbelievable. It's another unbelievable story. You talk about fumbling the bag. This is the epitome of fumbling the bag. So over the winter, Shohei Ohtani signed a massive contract with the Los Angeles Dodgers, a 10-year deal worth $700 million, by far the biggest contract in the history of American sports. $700 million, right? And we don't need to talk about the deferred money and stuff like that. The fact is, the contract guarantees him $700 million. A part of what Shoei did in that contract was demand a nice pay day for his interpreter. He's, Shoei is Japanese. Shohei. His interpreter, a guy named Ippei Mizuhara, he made sure the Dodgers guaranteed the job. He's been with Shohei since 2013 when Shohei first came to the major leagues from Japan and signed with the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. And so this guy has the cushy job of all he does. He goes around to all the greatest places. He sits in the dugout when the manager visits the mound when Shohei is pitching, or if there's a meeting there with the team, he's in a team meeting so he can interpret because Shohei does not speak English. And he gets paid big time. Well, he fumbled the bag in the worst way. He is accused of stealing millions of dollars from Shohei and placing bets with the bookmaker. He's now under federal investigation. He has been fired. The Dodgers confirmed yesterday that the interpreter has been fired. He went on ESPN, by the way. First of all, you're under investigation federally. If black folks, I mean, he's not black, but this is, again, when they say you have a right to remain silent, exercise that right. Under no circumstances do you open your mouth. Particularly, you don't go to the media. And we are the media. I'm telling you not to come to us, right? But it's the truth. I'm talking black folks. Everybody else can do whatever they want. But the interpreter went on ESPN. He says, and he essentially admits guilt. And any lawyer he has hired or may hire probably cringed. Every defense lawyer in Los Angeles cringed because I'm sure they want this case. But he goes on ESPN and he absolves Shohei, of course. He says Shohei had zero involvement in betting. He goes on to say, I didn't think what I was doing was illegal. He says, I learned my lesson the hard way and I will never bet again. Now, I am sure that even in Japan, you commit a crime, you say, I'm never going to do it again. You're still getting punished. This guy says, I'm never going to do it again. I learned my lesson. American justice says you learn your lesson after they give you some time behind bars. This guy, I learned my lesson. He fumbled the bag, folks. And not only that, I mean, who's going to hire him now? Say he gets Just his sentence is to be sent back to Japan. Get deported. I mean, is he going to be trustworthy? And I mean, they won't put a number on how much. I guess they're saving this for prosecutors. He stole from Shohei, but one report said he was actually betting using Shohei's name. This guy fumbling the bag. That's now that is when you say fumbling the bag. All you have to do is think of this guy, Shohei's interpreter. He is the epitome of fumbling the bag. It's unbelievable. Oh boy. Now let's get to this situation down in Georgia where a judge yesterday, again, this same judge, folks, understand what you're seeing is it's not an aberration. It's not it's not a television show. It's not a movie, although it could feel sometimes like it's you know, 1519 or 1619 all over again or Jim Crow all over again because it is. This MAGA judge, McAfee, greenlit the appeal of the decision that he made to allow Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis to continue to prosecute the election subversion case against Donald Trump. Scott McAfee he immediately issued a certificate of review. He says the issue is of such importance to the case that immediate review should be had. Well, it doesn't necessarily pause the prosecution. It allows appeals on the disqualification effort to play out before the trial does. Now it's up to the Georgia Court of Appeals to review the decision not to disqualify District Attorney Willis and decide if it wants to take up the case. Folks, this is so they're going to decide if they want to take up the case. It's unbelievable. Mike V, I just caught how he put that great walk. Okay, Mike V. Yeah, Power 96, the right wing judge said he will not delay the trial for that appeal. But think about it. Listen to what the appeals court they will review the decision and decide if it wants to take up the case. What is that telling us? It's telling us that for certainly no pun intended, but Donald certainly has the trump card. If they move forward with the trial, and if that trial is not looking good, you know what's going to happen. So let's stop kidding ourselves here. The defense is optimistic that appellate review will lead to the case being dismissed and the DA being disqualified, is what the twice impeached, 4 times indicted former president's lawyer said. Unreal. Unreal. Also, something else is going on in this country that we all know about that maybe we don't know the depths of how bad. We talked about gun violence. Justin Pearson was making that point earlier. But according to data provided by Everytown, which is a gun advocacy group, an anti-gun group, at least 157 lives were lost and 270 individuals were injured last year due to unintentional shootings by children. I'm going to say that one more time. 157 lives were lost last year and 270 individuals were injured last year due to unintentional shootings by children. The incidents predominantly involve teenagers between the ages of 14 and 17, or children aged 5 and under, often resulting in self-inflicted injuries or harm to another child. Heartbreaking stories abound, including the death of a 2-year-old girl in Indiana who found a gun at home, and then the shooting of an 8-year-old boy in Alabama with a firearm taken from his mother's car. In Florida, a 12-year-old boy died and 15-year-old sustained injuries because of the negligent handling of a gun by a 14-year-old. In 2023, the nation witnessed the highest number of, quote, unintentional child shootings recorded by Everytown, who's tracked this since 2015. It was 411 incidents resulting in injuries or fatalities. Now, it's at least, we should say at least 411, because data collection has faced a lot of challenges because of inconsistent reporting and documentation by law enforcement. It's unthinkable that children, that many children have been involved. One survey taken in 2015 estimated that 4.6 million American children lived in homes with loaded and unlocked firearms. And it's very concerning, folks, when you think about the uptick in recent gun sales. Yeah. It is it is beyond the crisis point, and it's beyond ridiculous that lawmakers have not done anything about this. As always, we hear it all the time. We've said it many times on this program. When stuff like that happens, these Congress people who are who are in the pockets and bending over and on their knees for the NRA, they say, our thoughts and prayers are with you. Your thoughts and prayers mean absolutely zero. Absolutely zero. But that's all we hear. Thoughts and prayers. Children. Children. This is so bad that um they don't care about children. And he's heard the stats, children under 5. They could care less about children yet. Yet. And I'm not for against, I'm not saying that I'm for or against this, but yet this abortion ban makes no sense, right? It further makes it no sense because you could care less about children. They hate children just like they hate seniors. Republicans today are still preparing. They was in session yesterday, still preparing a bill to gut Medicare, Social Security, and the Affordable Care Act. Medicare and Social Security directly goes to who? Seniors, right? That's directly speaks to senior citizens. So they don't want you old and they don't want you young. The only thing they want you young for is to have sex with. Sorry, pedophiles. These Republicans that are in control are just awful people. Awful people. The craziest trial, perhaps in the history of trials, is going on, and mostly, I mean, for the most part, unless you're watching the podcast or watching, different little podcasts, is mostly flown under the radar. I mean, they've with mainstream media. I mean, they've written some things, they've talked about some things, but it's already the longest trial in Georgia history. And here's the thing with this trial. We're talking about the trial of Young Thug and YSL. Um, I heard yesterday that there are still so many witnesses on the list and still so many motions to go. This trial, this is 2024, folks. One court expert estimated that this trial may last until, drum roll please, 2027. You remember OJ's trial lasted like a year and a half? Well, this is already going on 2 years with all of the pre-trial stuff and all of the preliminary hearings and the hearings, the case itself. But some crazy things have been happening during the trial. And the latest, as defendant attorneys called witness Adrian Bean to the stand for cross-examination. Homeboy, this is hilarious. And yes, the fighting that's been going on between the judge, I'm sorry, and the defense attorneys have been absolutely, they're going to be doing like comedy skits about it. It is unhinged. I don't know if we got clips of that or audio of that, but the latest craziness involved Adrian Bean. He admitted to not feeling the best while he was sitting on the stand, and attorneys would ask a question. He goes, "Can I get some water or something?" He says, "Check this out." He says, "I'm so high right now, y'all. I'm about to go to sleep." This guy on the witness stand in court, he says, "I am so high right now." OMG. This trial, it has been a comedy of comedy, and it's very serious. It's about murder and racketeering. After Bean was given a bottle of water, he was asked by the district attorney, whose name is Adrian Love, which again, it plays into that name plays into everything that's going on. Adrian Love asked if he needed a moment. You know what his response was? Homeboy's response was, "Yo, let's keep the ball rolling." Just like that. That's, yes, the YSL trial, Power 96, should be a serious trial. Young black men killing each other over nothing while the record label makes millions. The trial is a comedy show now. Yes, indeed. Oh, man. And this is all about, and with Bean, they were trying to establish that young Thug was at the scene of a drive-by shooting. But during his testimony, he has claimed that he cannot remember the shooting or the subsequent car crash, because he was frequently on drugs throughout 2013 when the incident happened. The prosecutors have alleged that Young Thug led a violent street gang called Young Slime Life, or YSL, that was responsible for killings, shootings, carjackings, and various other crimes that lasted over a decade. Prosecutors said that Young Thug used his successful music career and social media posts to promote the gang and establish its dominance. Mr. Bean testified that he was addicted to Molly at the time and could not recall anything from the period in question. He said he also couldn't remember what he said during a January 2023 meeting with Young Thug's lead defense attorney, Brian Steele, where he supposedly said, "Young Thug was not in the car with us that day. I don't even know how his name really got mentioned." He was accused, of course, of being untruthful. Bean's comments about being high, though, during the trial will call into question, of course, his reliability and the properness of his presence in the courtroom. It is only the latest controversy in this trial. It's Young Thug and 5 other defendants. Some of them have made plea deals, as we know. It's wow. And yesterday, the defense attorney, Greer, sends me this note that the defense attorney asked the judge to recuse himself and cancel the case. I want, Greer, do we have any back and forth? Because here we go.
And wrongly. Second time, the first time I gave the state discovery of a song from a Super Bowl. Weeks before, there was an objection. You assumed that I didn't give it to the state. I didn't want to embarrass the court. So you were yelling at me and saying, do you understand me? Do you understand me? And instead of saying, do you understand that you're wrong? I sat here and I said, yes, Your Honor. That was to protect the integrity of this courtroom and the court. Now you say in front of the jury how unprepared I am. I am not unprepared for anything.
Okay,
I have no. I need to make a record. Your Honor,
Mr. Steele, wait a second. When you keep delaying, okay, and that's what's happening to the court. You keep delaying and elongating and pushing out these particular our ability to present a seamless case in front of the jury. That's my purview as a judge. And I've asked you a number of times, you and your colleagues on both sides, to go ahead and listen to whatever it is you need to do, prepare me as needed. Now, I asked you those two particular questions because if they turned over the audio to you in discovery and you've listened to them already, then you either have an objection or you don't have an objection. And I was trying to solicit from you whether or not we could just go ahead and just hear it. So you can imagine my frustration because all these little delays just elongate out our presentation in front of the jury.
Embarrass you. I made an objection that some of these jail calls have a third party who will not testify. I objected to hearsay. The state said it explains the effect.
Okay, which call?
These calls, as you.
Okay, well then why weren't we?
Judge looked like Uncle Phil from the Fresh Prince, don't he? Uncle Phil was a judge. Yes, Bound that is an SNL skit in the making. The thing about it is, he's got the judge right there and then. The judge would be better suited to call a mistrial here. Because if he's convicted, that in itself, that judge essentially admitted to he didn't say he admitted to it, but his word said he admitted to it, basically. His actions and words. That the attorney says he was trying to save him from embarrassment. And basically the judge sort of like, he didn't deny it, that he got it wrong, but that moment right there, you best believe that the defense counsel, that team has frozen that moment. Everybody circled that and read. That is the appeal, the unmitigated appeal that if convicted, Young Thug is going to, they will overturn a conviction right there. I know enough, David Youngblood, if he's here with us today, about the law and about covering trials to know that right there, that judge messed up. He messed up. And so the rest of this trial, no matter how long it goes, even if it goes to 2027, that is it. Young Thug is not in any real jeopardy from this point on, as far as having a conviction stick. He could be as guilty as I don't know what, but the judge messed up. And then the judge keeps saying, you keep delaying. No. Make no mistake. A judge controls the tempo of the trial. He doesn't he doesn't have to allow any delays. He doesn't have to allow certain motions. He doesn't have to allow things that he believes are going to
court is biased
elongate
against Mr. Williams and or his counsel. And I ask you to consider recusing yourself, or don't do this again to me. This is inappropriate to me. I respect you, but what am I supposed to do? Sit there while you do this? I didn't do anything wrong. I did exactly what you teach me to do and the courts teach me to do.
All right.
But instead, no, I got to finish this. Then I get told to this court says by Prosecutor Love that I'm not being candid with the court and I'm misrepresenting because Mr. Bean never went to the hospital at Grady on September 11, 2013, and Miss Love has a document on the desk to prove it. I sat right in front of Your Honor at the table.
So, and again, right there, once again, the judge, he tells the judge tells him, okay, that's enough. And he goes, no, I got to finish. Wait, who's in charge of the courtroom? That's why I guess that's why some people say this thing is probably going to last for another 3 years. This, this is far worse. If you were captivated by OJ's trial back in 94, 95, Judge Ito, of course, was pandering to the cameras. The fact that there was a camera in the courtroom, he was pandering to that. He was an awful judge. The prosecutors, Marsha Clark and Chris Darden, busy, all kissy and playing to the cameras as well. Remember she changed her hair and everything else. I mean, and Chris Darden was being an idiot. And of course, you had Johnny, the one person in the room. You had F. Lee Bailey and all those other high-powered attorneys, but the one attorney in the room who didn't have to play to the cameras because it was his nature, he knew how to work the room, was Johnny Cochran. Right. The judge has no control in the courtroom. It reminds me, Power 96 reminds him of a Benny Hill episode. Benny Hill. But Ito had no control over the O.J. Simpson courtroom. And one person, and that's a big reason, and this moment here was the be all to end all moment, is a moment that every defense attorney looks for ever since. It's the glove moment. And I don't care if those were OJ's gloves or not. OJ was smart enough to know those gloves were not going to fit. They were not. Listen, I could have worn those gloves for 100 years. They put me in front of that jury, it ain't going to fit. And then they put the little latex over and everything. And then he is going to play it up to the jury. See, it doesn't fit. It doesn't. Oh, wow. It was the moment. But Johnny Cochran created that moment. Johnny Cochran baited the Chris Darden into that moment. And Chris Darden, because he had love on his brain for some reason with what they became the call. Remember they started calling Marsha Clark the Shaggy DA? And Michelle Madison says that is a lot of white nerve. How are you going to overtalk the judge? Well, the judge actually allowed that. Yeah, I agree to an extent, but that judge. But Johnny said, if it doesn't fit, you must acquit. Legendary Johnny Cochran. Well, folks, it stands to reason. And there he is with the hat on. He said, you remember the thing with the hat, right? He said, because they were saying, oh, he wore this hat and whatever. OJ wore this hat. And Johnny put the hat on. He said, without the hat, I'm Johnny Cochran. With the hat, I'm Johnny Cochran. With the hat, he's OJ Simpson. You should be able to know who OJ Simpson is with or without the hat. I mean, this guy put on a clinic. He put on an absolute clinic, but he was going up against two idiots. And I spoke, I probably mentioned this like a dozen times before, the district attorney, Gil Garcetti, in that OJ case. I spoke to him, and what stunned me, and I said, I challenged Mr. Garcetti. This is years after the case. I challenged him on a couple things. One being, that the crime was committed in Lily White, Santa Monica. And the prosecution, the district attorney, decided to move the trial downtown to Los Angeles. And I believed at the time, and I still believe it, that Gil Garcetti and the rest of the prosecution team, his team, believed that this was a slam dunk case, but because of Rodney King, who played a big part in this, that situation was why OJ was acquitted for the most part, along with what Johnny did in the courtroom. But because of Rodney King and those cops getting away or getting off in Simi Valley, that he wanted a jury of color to convict O.J. Simpson. He feared to have because in Santa Monica, he would have had an all-white jury. There's no question about it. At that point in time, Rockingham and all that stuff, no black folks lived over there except the O.J. Simpson. I think Marcus Allen, but Marcus Allen was actually a witness in the case, so he couldn't be on the jury. But he wanted, that's Gil Garcetti right there in front. He wanted a minority jury to convict O.J. Simpson. And so he moved the trial to Los Angeles from Santa Monica, where O.J. would have been convicted immediately. And I said to him, that was a huge mistake on your part, but I think you did it for this reason. And he said, no, Stacey, that's not why I had the trial moved. I said, I really believe it did. He says, they were, the Santa Monica courthouse, a part of it was they were kind of needed some work. They wanted to do some construction on it. I said, well, it was still being used, right? You still had criminal trials. Oh, absolutely. He said, but when I thought about it, the media, it would have been, we wanted to create space for the media. That's an even worse answer to me. Because so you're playing to the media. This is a murder trial, a double murder trial. And you're telling me you moved to downtown LA because of the media? That doesn't make any sense. That does not make any sense. In fact, there was never even a motion. Johnny Cochran, F. Lee Bailey, none of them made a motion to have the trial moved. Generally, that's what happens. And he just said, no, that's the reason. He stuck with that. Forget about it. He messed up because really what he wanted was black people to convict O.J. Simpson. That's what he wanted. DC Curry said it best, according to Power 96. He said, Johnny Cochran convinced me, the singing group, the OJs couldn't have killed Ron and Nicole. I don't get it. I don't get that, Power 96. I'm trying to understand. In other words, I'm not going to say other words because I don't understand that one. But look, Garcetti messed up. He messed up in a lot of ways, putting Darden and Clark on it, and Darden and Clark messed up with their foolishness, and then putting that racist cop on the stand really clinched it, helped to clinch it. The dude said, I never said the N-word in my life. And Johnny and his crew come bring a videotape of him just spewing the N-word everywhere. It was classic stuff. Classic stuff. There he is. I never said the N-word in my life. I got a black friend. This guy. Oh my gosh. Listen, with all that's going on in this country, the political violence, the MAGA stuff, and high prices, et cetera, it's no wonder why, according to the newest World Happiness Report for 2024, the United States has dropped in the worldwide happiness rankings released just yesterday. The happiness rankings showed America plunge 8 spots from its previous ranking, marking the first time in the report's 12-year history that the nation has failed to secure a position among the world's top 20 happiest countries. Yesterday was the United Nations International Day of Happiness, thus the report's release. So people just not happy. Perennial frontrunners like Finland Finland and Denmark continue to dominate the top spots. It still does not make me want to go visit Finland or Denmark. Is there a reason to go visit Finland or Denmark, Rear? Power 96, how about you? I already know what you're going to say. Anybody else? Michelle Madison, Dr. Nicole? Is there a reason to visit Finland and Denmark for a Black man? Because they happy? Do they go around and play the happy song? It's Chris, it's not me. Do they go around and say, "Cause I'm happy"? Do they play that song all day long in Finland and Denmark? So Michelle Madison said, "No, there's no reason for me to visit Finland or Denmark." I agree. I agree. I agree. Historically, the pursuit of happiness has been ingrained in the American ethos, according to the United Nations, symbolizing freedom, opportunity, and prosperity. All in the toilet now and will be flushed away if Jim Jones 2.0, aka the Tangerine Tyrant, returns. Power 96 says this is exactly how he said, and I can't really speak that Louisiana drawl, but he says, "Hell no." He says, "I've been to both. They thought I played in the NFL." Oh man. Political turmoil and the hate and confusion that has come with the candidacy and trials of Trump, economic inequality, diminishing social cohesion, and a pervasive consumerism culture often undermine many Americans' well-being, according to the study. Additionally, the pressures of modern life, including work-related stress, a lack of affordable health care, and political polarization, as we mentioned, have taken a toll on the mental health and overall happiness levels in the United States. And they also mention, not surprisingly, the advent of social media and digital technologies have been linked to increased feelings of isolation and comparison, negatively impacting subjective well-being. So don't play Pharrell's happy song anymore. We're not happy here. We're just not happy. Oh boy. I tell you what, I'm happy tomorrow's Friday. It's a reason to be happy. And I'm also happy that some of you, just some, not everybody listens, but some did go to our YouTube page and that you did hit the subscribe button. Now we need more of you to do that. And also leave your thoughts. Also share it. Tell everybody to subscribe. I mean, come on, let's stop playing games here. Let's subscribe to Let It Be Known News YouTube page. Come on, stop playing around. And we'll see you again tomorrow. Thanks for watching.